Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling the fascinating, always shifting world of the big tech giants.
Yeah, it never stays still for long, does it?
Exactly. We've got a couple of key angles to explore based on the sources you shared. First up, we'll look at the real power and influence these titans have, particularly in the DC tech scene. The Washingtonian really detailed that.
Hmm.
And second, we'll get into the growing scrutiny, the potential limits on their dominance, which is something the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists and the Futurum Group explored.
Right. Two sides of the same coin, almost.
Sort of, yeah. The goal is really to understand how these, well, seemingly different stories can both be true and what that might mean for tech's future and, its impact on all of us.
And we've got a really good set of sources for this. The Washingtonian, that gives us a snapshot from September 2023 of the DC tech world.
Right.
It's surprisingly diverse. AI, cybersecurity, fintech, govtech, it's all there. Then the bulletin takes that much wider view, asking, is tech CEO power peaking globally? Or is it still growing unchecked?
They had some interesting examples for that.
They really did, like Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post, or Elon Musk's role with Starlink in the Ukraine conflict. Really makes you think.
Definitely.
And then the Futurum Group brings us right up to date. Antitrust against Google and Apple, the whole geopolitics around chip making, the huge investments still pouring into semiconductors.
Okay. And for you, our listener, the learner, our mission today is to really pull out the key insights from all this.
Yeah.
We want to give you a clear picture of where these tech titans stand right now.
Their power, the challenges they're up against.
Exactly. And the forces shaping what comes next.
Yeah.
We're going to try and connect the dots, between what's happening in DC and the bigger global picture.
Highlighting maybe some surprising details along the way.
Yeah. Keep it focused, digestible. We want you to finish feeling, well, properly informed, and maybe even keen to look into some of this stuff yourself. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that DC tech landscape.
Right, let's focus on the Washingtonians' take from 2023 first. What's interesting is how they broke it down. They didn't just talk about the starters, the entrepreneurs.
No, they had other categories.
Yeah, official DC government folks, money folks, the VCs, policy people, big business contractors, and cyber world. It really shows how interconnected it all is there.
It does. And what really jumped out at me was, even with all the turbulence in the wider tech world back then.
Yeah, VC money drying up, SVB collapsing, crypto wobbles, big tech layoffs.
Right, all that. DC was still seen as this bright spot, particularly in AI.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the kicker. The article points out DC's AI history goes way back. DARPA, 1960s.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and now they have this AI Forward initiative led by Stephanie Tompkins. So AI, there isn't just some new trend. It's got deep roots.
That historical context is really key, isn't it? To understanding why the DC scene feels a bit different.
Yeah.
And it shapes how the leaders there see themselves. The Washingtonian said they don't just want to be Silicon Valley on the Potomac.
Right, more like a unique technology incubator.
Exactly, where collaboration and competition drive things forward, maybe more closely tied to government and policy than out west.
It makes sense. And they gave loads of examples of the starters to illustrate this, like Cvent Event Tech, Ridgy Agarwal's company. They're even using AI now.
Oh, interesting.
Then Optero with Amina Ali, focusing on merchandise returns, but with the sustainability angle.
Tackling environmental concerns, yeah.
And Xometry, Randy Altschuler's manufacturing platform, trying to navigate the global slowdown. It shows DC Tech is really embedded in different industries.
Absolutely. And look at Wirewheel data privacy compliance. That's huge right now with all the regulations.
Very cool.
Then Vox Media, Jim Bankoff, expanding podcasts, winning a Pulitzer even, media and tech blurring. And CareJourney, using healthcare data, partnering with U.S. News. That's applying big data practically.
So many. Caribou, Kevin Bennett, online car refinancing, now insurance, fintech evolving.
Right.
Reviture, Ashwin Baroth's company, training tech workers, partnering with Howard University, crucial for diversity in tech.
That's a great initiative.
And Nava Public Benefit Corporation, Rohan Bob, they helped rescue healthcare.gov.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And now help other public bodies go digital. Really highlights that DC tech government link.
Exactly. And Interos, Jennifer Bisley's company, AI for supply chains, even got a Navy contract. That's direct national security application. Appian, Matt Calkin's low-code platform, making software easier to build, integrating ChatGPT now.
Yeah, everyone's integrating ChatGPT, it seems.
Pretty much. Michael Chasen's Class Technologies, the Zoom teaching software, now aiming for federal and corporate clients. And the not worldwide adapting to Gen Z weddings online.
It just shows how deep tech runs in and around DC. Iridium Communications, satellite stuff, partnering with Qualcomm for Android messaging.
Expanding connectivity.
Fondblank, Chris Doofus, treating airtime like digital currency in East Africa, exploring mobile tech in emerging markets.
It's a fascinating idea.
EAB helping schools with virtual tours. CoStar Group, the real estate intelligence giant, building a new research campus. Fontagilliam's Wealthy doing social banking.
And don't forget, Hungry Marketplace, Jeff Grass's company connecting chefs to companies for worker meals. Super practical platform.
Yeah. Alex Guerrier's Donors Choose for classroom fundraising tech for good. Fiscal Note, Tim Wang, digital intelligence, AI, CQ roll call even.
Data, AI, politics, all mixed.
Sonatype, checking open source software safety. Unison, helping government agencies buy stuff. More public sector links.
See the pattern?
Definitely Custom Ink, print on demand. Lease Accelerator managing leases. IonQ and quantum computing. Robotic research. Autonomous vehicles for the Army.
Wow.
Docile, using AI for customer analytics. Storyblocks for stock media. Link connecting satellites to phones directly. Rocket Money helping cancel subscriptions. The Cut, the barber app.
That one's clever.
Everfi for financial education. Florio using VR for neurodiverse kids. NIH, back to program on police encounters.
That sounds incredibly valuable.
Expression managing electromagnetic spectrum with AI. Curbio doing pre-sale home renos. Hawkeye 360 measuring radio signals from space. Recurrent enabling used goods resale circular fashion.
Very trendy.
Legato Networks building satellite comms. Sandbox AQ mixing AI and quantum for government. Alarm.com building security. FrameBridge online framing. And Socially Determined using social analytics in healthcare.
Okay, deep breath.
Yeah, it's a massive list. But what you see is this incredible diversity, deeply embedded in different sectors, lots of government ties, tackling real societal needs.
Absolutely. And like you said earlier, these starters aren't in a vacuum. They interact with the other groups, government setting AI policy, VCs like Omibel funding them, policy advocates shaping the debates, which we'll get to.
Right.
Big companies partnering or acquiring, cyber firms protecting it all. It's a whole ecosystem. Okay, let's shift gears now to the bigger debate about tech titan power globally.
Yes, let's. This takes us to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, and they lay out these two, well, competing narratives.
The first one is basically unchecked power. The idea that tech CEOs with their huge companies, money, and tech are so influential they're almost like challenging states themselves, reshaping the global order.
And they had those striking examples. The Washington Post, when you mentioned Bezos ending presidential endorsements, that really raises questions, doesn't it, about one person's influence on news and public opinion.
It really does. And then the Elon Musk situation in Ukraine, the bulletin flagged that heavily.
Starlink was vital for Ukraine at first.
Crucial when Russia knocked out their internet. But then Musk deciding to turn off coverage near Crimea, reportedly because he worried about escalation.
Yeah.
That shows how one tech leader's decision can have massive geopolitical consequences, kind of outside normal diplomacy. Ian Bremmer was quoted saying, "These firms now rival states in geopolitical influence."
That Starlink example really drives it home. Private companies with that kind of leverage. It's pretty unprecedented.
It is. It's something international relations theory is still catching up with.
Paints a pretty stark picture of power. But, like you said, there's the counter-narrative.
Exactly. The second view suggests this power might actually be waning, or at least facing limits. Governments are starting to push back, reassert their authority.
And the examples there.
Well, Musk eventually complying with Brazil's Supreme Court orders about social media accounts, or the founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, getting arrested in France.
Right.
These are shown as governments saying, hang on, you're not above the law. That Will Oremus quote about the revenge of the regulators really captures it. Maybe the era of tech running totally free is ending.
So which is it? One right, one wrong?
The bulletin basically says it's complicated, it's a mix. Tech titan power depends on the context, democracy versus autocracy, and this growing techlash is definitely driving regulation.
Aye.
But leaders in the really cutting-edge fields, AI, space, they still have huge influence. Think Sam Altman wanting, what, $7 trillion for chips?
Yeah, that number was staggering.
Or Jensen Huang's role in Taiwan, or SpaceX's massive NASA and Pentagon contracts. That influence is still very real.
Makes sense. The article also really hit home the impact of authoritarian states. China's Great Firewall, the limits on Musk there.
Totally. And Jack Ma's fall is like the ultimate cautionary tale about challenging the state in that system.
Hmm.
China, Russia with its sovereign internet idea, India pressuring tech firms, they've all shown they can push back hard against global platforms.
And even in democracies, this techlash is biting. The EU's big digital acts, the DSA, DMA.
Right. And the U.S. antitrust actions under Khan at the FTC and Cantor at the DOJ, the article even mentioned that court ruling calling Google search an illegal monopoly.
That feels like a big deal. Potential huge consequences for Google's business.
For sure. And the bulletin also makes a historical point. Maybe tech dominance is always temporary anyway. Technology spreads, rivals emerge. Look at IBM, Bell Labs back in the day.
Good point. History suggests nobody stays on top forever.
And the underlying idea is states will eventually figure out how to rein them in, cut them down to size, like Ma or Durov. Bureaucracies, lawmakers taking back control.
But the Titans won't go quietly, right? That Zuckerberg out, Zuck out and hail thing, basically Zuckerberg or nothing, suggests they'll fight hard to stay dominant.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real power struggle.
Yeah.
Which brings us nicely to our final source, the Futurum Group, and their look at the current battlegrounds.
Okay, let's dive into that. Antitrust, AI, global competition.
Right. The Futurum Group really gets into the specifics. They highlight Google's legal fights, especially the DOJ lawsuit, trying to force them to sell Chrome.
The argument being about consumer choice, competition.
Exactly. And it raises that tricky question. I go, okay, if Google sells Chrome, who buys it? If it's, say, OpenAI backed by Microsoft? Are you just swapping one giant for another?
Yeah, it's not simple, is it? And Futurum also mentioned the other DOJ suit against Google over digital ads controlling the whole market, supply, demand, everything.
That's the core of their business model, really. Plus, that court order in San Francisco telling Alphabet they have to let other app stores and payment systems onto Android.
Right. And Apple's not escaping either.
No way. Futurum flagged the judgment in the Epic Games case about app payments. And the judge coming down hard on Apple for apparently not complying with the original order.
Saying she might bring criminal charges against execs, that's strong stuff.
Incredibly strong. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers basically saying, this is an order, not a suggestion. Ignore it at your peril. It's a clear signal the courts are serious.
And this connects to the wider global scene Futurum touched on too, right? The EU's approach.
Yeah, the EU focusing on competition, but also trying to boost its own tech competitiveness, which leads to those accusations of, well, protectionism.
Like maybe trying to create EU champions.
That's the concern some people, like Claire Levin mentioned in the source, have raised. You might just end up with European oligopolies instead. And we see Meta facing potential EU fines, Apple getting hit with that first big EU antitrust fine over music streaming.
So different regulatory philosophies playing out. EU, maybe more focused on stopping dominance, promoting local players. U.S. maybe more on consumer harm, innovation.
It seems that way, yeah. Different priorities, different tools.
And Futurum also quickly mentioned those big investment announcements, NVIDIA, IBM, at the White House, connecting back to that U.S. push for tech infrastructure, global competitiveness.
Ties back to the Washingtonians' point about the history and drive for U.S. tech leadership. And the whole discussion around Taiwan keeping TSMC's best chip production local.
That just screams geopolitics, doesn't it? How vital semiconductors are.
Absolutely critical, underpins everything. And Intel's Foundry Day news updates on their advanced chips, trying to woo those fabulous customers who design chips but don't make them.
It's all part of that bigger push to build up chip manufacturing outside Asia.
Exactly, a huge strategic effort.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together for you, the learner. We've seen this really complex picture. On one hand, the DC tech scene is buzzing with innovation, lots of different sectors involved. But on the other hand, these tech titans, local and global, are facing, well, serious pushback.
Yeah, growing scrutiny over their power, their competitive tactics. Governments everywhere are trying to assert more control through regulation.
Even while these companies are still the ones driving the next wave, like AI, so the future, it probably looks more constrained for the giants. Regulations plus just the natural cycle of tech disruption.
And thinking about memorable details, maybe just how much direct influence one CEO, like Musk, could potentially have on a war.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Or the really forceful language from the judge in the Apple case, it just highlights the immense power and the backlash it's now creating.
And understanding all this, it's just crucial, isn't it? Whether you're thinking about business strategy or just trying to grasp the forces shaping your digital world.
Absolutely. Or just curious about where tech is heading, how innovation, money, and regulation all collide. It shapes our society in really fundamental ways.
Which leads us to a final thought to leave you with. With this constant push and pull between tech innovation and regulation, what new ways of governing tech or fostering competition might actually emerge?
Yeah, is the old antitrust playbook enough? Or do we need totally new ideas to handle the power of today's and tomorrow's tech giants and the technologies they create, like advanced AI?
Something definitely worth thinking about.